This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
Welcome to the next edition of The Away End. I'm Craig Courtney and I am joined by Tim from the Fearless in Devotion podcast, which is one of the main ones for all Wrexham fans out there. So, Tim, firstly, thank you very much for joining us and going through a few things ahead of the game.
Very welcome.
So tell us a bit about yourself. I love the name, first of all, of the podcast. So how did that all come about? Not having something around the club is pretty unusual.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically a line from a song which is called "Wrexham Is the Name," which was recorded years ago by one of the old sides from the heyday, and they took that song from Men of Harlech, which is an old Welsh song, very well known. So it stemmed from there, really, and yeah, that was just the line that stood out for me, and we sing it every match as part of the anthem. You'll hear it on Monday, no doubt. And it's just the one that kind of stood out, and it kind of resonates not just from our stuff, but I think it's any fan of any club. You're there through thick or thin. It doesn't matter what, highs and the lows and everything else. And yeah, it just went from there. So we thought, well, I think I sat there one Boxing Day, 2014, I want to say, Jesus. And I just thought I'm just going to do like a little fan account and just start it like that, really. I previously done some stuff for the club officially. I used to do like match reports and the Twitter then and so on. And yeah, I didn't get bored of towing the party line, but there's only so many times you can try and jazz up a 7-2 home defeat to Gateshead. So I was like, yeah, I kind of want to have how I would normally say about that, in that it was absolutely shite. So, I just thought, do my own thing, have a bit of a fan's voice, which seemed to be lacking for a while. We've had like fanzines in the past, and we've got Red Passion, one of the message boards, but I don't know, I just thought I'd try it out, and obviously that's grown sort of ridiculously, especially in the last sort of several years with everything that's been going on. So, but it's great. I love it. It dominates a lot of my time on social media. You kind of got to keep up with the Joneses, or at least feel like you have. So yeah, there's a big element of responsibility to it. It's not just there to take the piss and have some barbs between opposition fans. That's part of the fun, of course. But
yep.
It's just there to support the club. We put a tweet out before about one of our new players and didn't have a great debut last night, and there's a couple of people already saying, "Oh, it's going to be a waste of money." It's like, Christ, he's hardly kicked the ball for us yet. I mean, we've got it so good at the moment that people are struggling for things to whinge about. So you have to find something really desperate to whinge about. And I think that was one of them. So yeah, that's kind of how it came about. And we've done like a full colour fanzine, which is the first one of its type for the club. And yeah, we've done live events, which have sold out, which is crazy. The next one's in January, and that's sold out. We're like, this is what Noel and Liam obviously feel like, I guess, and on just smaller scale.
After you charging extortionate amounts for tickets, that's the question.
But, we had messages saying, well, at least it sold out before the dynamic pricing kicked in. Like, yeah, you're probably right. So.
No, I mean it's. Firstly, to follow the Wrexham story over the past few years, it's pretty phenomenal where you've come from and where you are now, and ultimately, let's not underestimate things. You're going to be a force in this division, and I know your owners set a stall out, which was to get you into the Football League, and then through the Football League and into the Premier League. And I firmly believe at some point or other it will happen, because you can see the drive and passion and what they've done with your club in terms of the community side of things and building that, and then actually turning you around financially is a phenomenal job. It's actually it resonates, I suppose, with American owners a little bit, because obviously Birmingham now owned by Knighthead and led by Tom Wagner, is what we're seeing is a very similar thing. We are branching more and more and more into the community, bringing them into the journey as such. But making the club part of the city again. And I think that was one thing that I remember from watching the documentary when it first started was one of the first areas they set the stall out was, we want Wrexham to be known as Wrexham again and not as it had almost fallen by the wayside. So, you've got your film stars, you've got your Mr. Deadpool, you've also got the other parties involved, and they've brought some fantastic faces to your club. You see their videos I absolutely love. I've got to say I do like them. But how does it feel to be a Wrexham fan at the moment? If you take yourself back a few years to where you are now, would you have ever dreamt that you would be in this position, fighting ultimately for me to be in the Championship next season and wanting to go further?
I think initially no, but then the more it kind of unravelled with the takeover and both Rob and Ryan professing to have no football knowledge, we thought, well, at least they're being upfront about it. Yeah. So they install people in place that do know football, including a very well-known football administrator in Sean Harvey, which there's still several reservations about that for obvious reasons, but he has done some things in favour of the club, has to be said. So they've put people in that know football. Les Reed, he's kind of like heading up the recruitment side of things, obviously big involvement in Southampton in his day. So there's people there with a lot of knowledge. And I think the longer this went on, the longer we thought, well, they're clearly like wanting to, because the reputational damage for them is huge, especially for Ryan. I think it's probably leveled up a bit more on Rob's side as well. But I think for us, it was literally just get out the National League, because once you're in there, nobody imagined we'd be stuck for 15 years. It was horrible. And I don't mean that disrespectfully to any of the clubs we faced, but when we've been on this ride that we've been on the last few years and we started going to places like Bolton and Sheffield United or whatever in the Cup, it feels like a long, long way away from your Hayes and Yeddins and Grays Athletics and everything else. And
indeed,
we had no divine right to get out that division, and that soon dawned on everybody after the first few years of not doing it and coming so close. In 98 points one season, Fleetwood with Jamie Vardy for them pipped us to it. They finished 103 points, and eventually we get out of the league with 111, which is crazy, and then to do it again next year. I wouldn't say it was a massive surprise to me, just because of the way they've recruited, and we'd seen it so many times in the past where you can do that bounce straight away. It doesn't happen for everybody, but if you've got that settled dressing room and a solid core of players, and the turnover isn't too much over the summer, then it can work, and it did. But to be sitting top of League One after 5 games with only two points dropped I think it's beyond anybody's kind of expectations. I think we would have been happy with probably half of that, just to kind of acclimatize to it, if you like. But
I think you do yourself a bit of a discredit, if I'm honest, because the one thing that has stood out for me, and when we talk about this on Tilton's Walk, is Wrexham are a side that are pretty stable. They have been for a few years. They've built the foundations and then built on top of that. So as you've got promoted from that National League into the second tier and then up again, what you've done each time is you've kept the nucleus of your squad and you've built on top and you've improved. I think it's a foundation that a lot of clubs that are in that National League are going to look to copy and follow. And I know Macclesfield went through the mill, and with Robbie Savage going in there and doing the job that he's been doing, it's very, very similar. They're building a team to get out of each league that's in an aim to get to the top. And I think that's a good way to take it. And the other thing is, when you've got a nucleus there, you don't want to upset the apple cart by bringing in lots and lots of different people. And I'm saying that as Birmingham have spent like 30 million in a transfer window.
Well, with Chelsea, the obvious example at a higher level
exactly.
is too many cooks spoil the broth. And I keep saying this kind of over and over repeatedly in the sense that I genuinely think that the dressing room at Wrexham, it's so close. Almost kind of like that old Wimbledon crazy gang spirit where you literally will fight to the death for one another off and on the pitch. And that's a key factor to all this, because you can go away and not see your teammates until 3 days' time when you're in training. But half of these are going out for coffee or golfing. That they're so tightly knit, and that to me is almost like winning 7 to 10 points before you even kick the ball. It
It's a
really
family
is.
affair.
Yeah,
It's you're bringing everybody on that same journey, and when you've got that rapport and I suppose it is camaraderie really, and the togetherness.
Hmm.
That's the equivalent sometimes of an extra player, and you're giving that extra 10% each time, and it's going to be needed in this league. I hold no hesitations in saying that despite bookies and various people saying Birmingham will be up there for promotion, right? I take nothing for granted. I'll desperately want it to happen. There'll be no Birmingham fan that says I don't want it to happen. But we've got to be realistic and say it's going to be a fight. It's not going to be easy. People aren't going to roll over and let us go and tickle their tummies and everything else. Far from it. We've seen it in our first few games. People are coming, setting a stall out, not wanting to be beat. We've been lucky. We've got results. We've played some decent football, but there's also some times when we've sat back and actually let teams attack us, which to me is extremely dangerous. And come Monday, for me, well, it could be a complete and utter high-scoring game, or we could have a complete damp squid. It is one of those where it's really, really hard to predict. Obviously, we all want to see the high-scoring game, but sometimes those damp squids actually just show how good teams are, and keeping each other out is going to be key. You've got a striker that wants to just go and score for fun. We've got Alfie May, who is just scoring. It's something like every time he's touching the ball at the moment, he's putting them away, and he's got the expertise and knowledge of the league. And then on top of that, we've spent big on Jay Stansfield, and I think against yourself, that's going to be the first time in the league that he's actually having an opportunity to have a run out. He's at St Andrews at Knighthead Park in front of another full house. I mean, it's scary. I say it each time, but as a Birmingham fan, getting relegated and then selling out the first 3 games of the season, it's just brilliant. More season tickets than ever. It's very similar to yourselves in terms of the increased volume and stuff. So I look, and it's been interesting when I do all the reading up, and I kind of look back over the time of the teams when we're playing them. It's not very often that I have to go back as far as what I have to actually play and look at when we've last played a team. But it really is a fair few years since Birmingham have come up against yourselves. But also, over the past 5, it really does go. It's back over tens of years. It's the record for Birmingham is actually decent reading. It's 3 in the last 5, 3 wins, a draw, and a loss. Last time we played, I believe, was the League Cup, and Birmingham won 4-1. But that was back in 2006. So a lot. So much has happened over those years. It's ridiculous. From winning a League Cup to being relegated out of the Premier League, you guys being in that National League, getting out of it, getting yourself promoted. We've almost done roles reversal. So it is for me a good time for us to meet, and I think it does make Monday a good game. We'll come on to what we think will happen and stuff like that shortly. But I mean, tell me about Wrexham and the way they've started the season. You've mentioned briefly that it's almost like you're taking half of what you've got, but where do you think, realistically, you'll be at the end of the season? And do you think you'll continue to expand, come January and the new window being open? Do you think you'll expand on your team if you're in a position to go for it? Do you think you'll go for playoffs and promotion again?
Yeah, I mean, I can't see any reason if it comes to January and you're kind of in the mix, it'd be the same for anybody. Anybody who's got the resources and can do it, then great. The only thing from a lot of people are saying that, oh, it'd be good to consolidate. So if the worst was to happen and we didn't get anywhere near, then it wouldn't be a massive disaster as long as we would nowhere near danger of going back to League Two. So there's all this consolidation talk. However, that seems to have evaporated all of a sudden after the start we've had. I never said it. I was like, well, I'm pretty confident.
Positivity.
Yeah, but I mean, winning's a habit. It's like losing's a habit. You snap out of it, and there's a reason why Wrexham fell out the league to begin with. You know, it's a combination of bad luck and administration and rogue owners and losses. At the end of the day, you know, if you're not getting paid to play, you're almost up against it. So that was almost like inevitable in the end. But then, I mean, I keep on the home record we've got. I mean, I keep saying it. It sounds ridiculous. I put Phil Parkinson's record with Wrexham at home up there. It has to be amongst the world's best. It's ridiculous. Brilliant. It's unbelievable. We've lost 6 times in 4 years, 3 or 4 years at home. That's mad. That's mad.
As well. The one that really stands out for me, was it the FA Cup against Manchester United? Was it last season?
It was Sheffield United. The Sheffield United.
That's right. And
yeah.
It stood out an absolute mile around that never say die attitude that you said has been instilled into the team. And there wasn't one point when I looked at that game and thought, they're going to be in trouble here. In fact, you could see that you were just going to go hell for leather, and not that it doesn't care, but actually it was controlled. Your manager definitely brings that, and I think he got a wealth of knowledge and experience that he can bring to a team. We've kind of got the opposite at the moment. You know, Chris Davies, this is his first role as number one. What we're seeing is a lot of the techniques that definitely he's picked up from, being with the likes of Liverpool, Celtic, Spurs, Leicester. You can see that mentality that he wants to bring to the team. That, I think, is the same with yourselves. You when you start seeing your manager coming through in the players, that's when you know you've got a team that's a force. Yeah. When they're against each other, you need to worry. So tell us about Monday then. I mean, first of all, are you coming to Birmingham? You're lucky enough to get tickets?
I am. There it is. Lovely. Been to pick it up earlier on. So that was nice. And walking into the club shop and seeing Australians and all manner of nationalities in there having tours and pictures. It's just like, what is going on? It's so weird.
It's so strange. I mean, it's already been the hype around this game. I've not known it like it for ages.
From our point of view, we kind of feel like we're benefiting from having the likes of Birmingham and maybe sort of Huddersfield and so on in the division, because the pressure is off us a bit more in the sense of the spending. We can just get on with just doing what we're doing in the background whilst the cameras are rolling for the documentary, etc. But they're used to that now. That the camera crew and all the associated staff are just an extended part of the squad really now, which shows the element of trust between the players and the staff and everything else. So that's really, really good. But yeah, Monday, it sounds sad, but at the time when it was an hour whether you're coming down or not, there's a lot of us obviously quite naturally going, I'd rather it be them than whoever else, because like you get greedy and you look at the away days, and I can't remember who beat you to it, but I was just like, well, yeah, but it's almost like a leveler, because it's real. I think this League One, looking at it, must be the most competitive League One that there's probably ever been in the last 15, 20 years, if not longer. It's mad. It's like a championship 2.0. It's crazy. So I'm excited because I was there for that one win, 97 one. I was there for that. Great memories of it. I remember there was a pub there called the Wrexham, which I've spoken to quite a few, because my best mate's brother is a big Blues fan, and her dad's a big Blues fan. So we were asking them about it. It's no longer there, the Wrexham, but
it isn't now. But yeah, I was used to drinking there myself. So
I have no idea why it was called the Wrexham. This still, I know it was referenced in Peaky Blinders as well. I was like, oh my God, I knew that. I remember seeing it. I was like, why is it called the Wrexham? I was like, we can't go in there because you could just you approach it as like, I'm not sure that's a very welcoming pub. We'll give that a swerve. So, but yeah, good memories from that game. I met Jasper Carrott at a previous match where we got hammered 5-2. I want to say. I think we were leading at half time, then we got thumped, and because we were winning at half time, I met Jasper Carrott, and he was furious, miserable. So for the kids listening to this, he is an old comedian from Birmingham.
I tell you what, he still turns up, and he's still down there to watch the games. And obviously, you reference Peaky Blinders, but Mr. Knight is fundamentally involved, and it's quite funny because when you've got your documentaries, there's documentaries that have just been released on Birmingham. There's obviously the camaraderie and banter that's already started across the social media channels. I saw that Rob posted the other day on X, TB12, will we see you there? We'll be there. And it's kind of, as it's seen, it's the turnout on the night, potentially, of the film stars against the American football star. It's going to be absolutely daft. Security around St Andrews will be mental. But I'm looking forward to it. I think it really does. If it pays out the way that the league has started so far, it's got a great game written all over it.
Yeah, and I think for us, if we get anything there, then for me it'll feel like, oh yeah, now we've arrived, because we had some lads on from the Peterborough podcast before we played them. And bless him, Charlie, one of the younger lads on their pod, he's a bit younger, probably 17, 18. He kind of said, oh, I genuinely think we're going to beat you 5-1. And we were like, wow. He'd spoken so well up until that point. He goes, we're going to beat you 5-1. I'm like, okay. And he proceeded to tell us why they were going to beat us. And he said, you're not really been welcomed into League One yet. And obviously we went there, we beat them. So we clipped up all that on the pod. It went a little bit viral. He got a bit of stick for it, bless him. I felt a little bit bad, but it was funny. But I think if we are going to get a welcome to League One, it's probably Monday. And I think in a weird way, because of the position we find ourselves in, it wouldn't be the end of the world if we were to come away from there with nothing. But by the same token, there's no reason why we can't come there and get something because of the start we've had, because of the element of our team is probably gelled more solidly than yours at this particular stage of the season. Yep. But everybody's going to be up. I think there's 100% going to be a sending off in it. I think it's going to be turbocharged. Somebody's going to get clattered. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy good. I mean, everywhere we've been so far, we've been loud. We're going to have to be especially loud on Monday, I think.
The atmosphere at St Andrews and Knighthead Park has been electric since this season. It's just been unbelievable. As we mentioned before, started recording another sellout, and it's ridiculous. People now reselling tickets, and then those tickets getting purchased. So there's almost like a waiting list ready to get in there. So the feel good factor is well and truly back. And one thing I will say is it does resonate in the atmosphere. It's definitely the ground of old. The ground that Alex Ferguson famously said he would rather go to Galatasaray than come to Birmingham to play because of the atmosphere, and that's something we've been sadly lacking. So we've talked a little bit there about players and things like that, but tell us who we should watch out for the most as we go into Monday's game. And I know it's quite tough, especially as you've had such a good start, because you could name all 11. But if there were two players to watch out for, who would they be and why?
Probably George Dobson, midfielder that we got from Charlton Athletic. He was Charlton's captain, and then for some bizarre reason, he kind of was about to join a team in Hungary. Not even a top flight Hungarian side. I think they were the first division or something, or second division. And that didn't fall through because I think he wanted to keep his family in the UK. I'm not sure what the circumstances were around it, but he'd worked with Parky previously. So Parky was well aware of him, but it's just so good. Like better than any of us ever imagined he would be in terms of defensive midfielder, but just breaks at play, harasses, he harries, he's just on you. Like no let up. He's like a one-man press without the need.
The proverbial
Terrier.
ratter by the sounds of
Yeah,
it, all
horrible.
over everybody like a rash, yeah.
Horrible. But like when he wins the ball, he doesn't dawdle. When he's won the ball, he's already picked his pass before he's won it. He's looked and gone, right, and if I'm winning it, it's going that way. So I like players that are already 2 steps ahead of the game because that's rare. It's rare at this level. I think it's rare at most levels, but he's really good. For me, he's the early player, a very early player of the season intended. That's how much of an impression he's made on an already very well established midfield. So I'd say him. Can't really say Mullen at the moment because he's still coming back from injury, although he did score an amazing goal against Salford in the Bristol Street Motors Trophy last night, which was a very good goal. It's almost dead easy to go for attackers, isn't it, when you sort of predict something like this? I kind of don't want to. I think I'm going to stick with a midfielder. I'm going to stick with a defender, right? So we've got a young defender called Max Cleworth. I think he's only 22. He's made 100 appearances now for Wrexham. He's ridiculously good. He had a few moments where he learned some harsh lessons, especially in that cup run where we beat Coventry, and he came up against I forgot the name of the fella now. He's since moved on, but he did really well for Coventry. And then he had a bit of a rough time against Sheffield United in the replay. So, but since then he's kind of bulked up. He looks the part. He plays out from the back with such confidence, but his passes is just like defense splitting balls. Like, what is he doing for a defender? It's crazy. It looks like he's not even started shaving yet. It's bonkers. And I think we talk about a Conquering goal that we got from Arsenal as a sellable asset and all these other players. But I genuinely think he's probably the one that, if we were in a position where we had to sell or somebody came in with a ridiculous bid, it would be for him, because he's just showing all the promising signs of somebody who can go to the top of the game, whether that's with us or with somebody else. And if he was to go tomorrow to, I don't know, Southampton or Brentford or something, nobody would have a bad word to say against him because of how good he's been. You know, he's come through the age ranks from all the way through the youth academy and everything else. And yeah, I mean, he's one of the first names down on the team sheet, and he's just so reliable, so reliable.
Homegrown talent, you know, it's you can't beat it. And we've had, I say homegrown talent, but actually, you know, from a Birmingham point of view, there's not many of our youngsters that are still with us that have come through the ranks, but that's because they've done a similar thing. You know, they've come in, they've set the stall out, they've gone on to improve. You know, we've lost Jordan James this year.
Super Jordan James, like when you came down, like he shot from a Wales perspective, like
it was great, yeah. Do you know what? Jordan James, though, he never really, for me, got his opportunity to set his stall out because of what was going on at the club. Too many managers, too many people trying to swap it about. I never thought I'd say this, but actually, he played his best football under Wayne Rooney, and we all know Wayne Rooney was atrocious at Birmingham. But he did play his best football, and I wish him well. And then, of course, we had the Bellingham brothers, who both gone on to major things. Job doing his work up north, and he's going to have his opportunity. He's going to be a Premier League player without fail. Talks about some of your recent players, but here's a bit of a challenge for you. I found this so hard. Can you name 4 players that have represented both clubs? I mean, one should stand out an absolute mile because he wasn't there too long ago.
I've been thinking about this. And I think I've got it. You know, and I've not looked at my phone enough, and I'm well.
I believe you. I've seen you on camera. I know you haven't. So, go ahead, far away. Give me 4 players.
So obviously, Brian Hughes.
Yep.
Obviously, Barry Horn.
Yep.
Ben Foster.
Mm-hmm.
Andy Marriott.
Now, Andy Marriott is an interesting one.
He did play, didn't he? Because I remember he made that mistake. Did he not?
He didn't actually play for Birmingham. He was at the club, but he didn't actually play a game. So it's because it did come up on the list, and we was having this conversation earlier between us on the show. It's like, no. But he was there, but he didn't actually play.
Where was
But
he? He made that mistake where he put the ball down. Somebody ran in, and maybe that was at
behind him,
Birmingham. Yeah.
it was. I mean, you've mentioned one player there, Yoza. Wow,
Hmm.
wow, what a player! You know, when he was at Birmingham, he was heads and tails above the players that he was up against. He was phenomenal. He's just a friend of the show as well. You know, we've spoken to him on a couple of occasions through Tilton Talk, and he has just been brilliant. But his passion for the game when he was there shone through. His touch on the ball and his passing was just brilliant. But also he had that eye for goal. So it's like he was just a super player. And when we signed him, people were like, "Oh, really?" But yeah, then he stood out. There are a few other names, but I tell you, these tested me.
I kind of want to say Sam Williamson.
Haven't got Sam down on my list, but
Okay.
I mean to give you Jack Deanman as one. He was an under 18s apparently from yourselves and joined Birmingham as a
No,
centre back.
doesn't ring a bell.
Kevin Rogers, Frank Carudis.
Frank
We're going
Carrot
back
as well.
going back in the years now. Steve Fox, John Roberts, back many years. Colin Green, Johnny Schofield, and the one that went the furthest back was a gentleman called Don Weston, who would have been well before both of our times. So you know, apart from that, we haven't really seen too many players that have crossed the divide as such between the teams. But there's been some good ones, and Fozzie, you know, most recently being the one that helped you out the league and stuff like that. So I guess the question now is Monday night. How do you think it will go? What's your heart telling you? What's your head telling you? And what's your prediction on the result?
My heart is saying there's no reason why we can't go there, proper lay down a marker with a statement win and go, right, you're taking notice now, kind of like vibe. Because, you know, it's a weird situation. And nobody realistically, unless you're a sadist, nobody enjoys being disliked, okay, at any level, unless you're James McLean, who loves it.
He does, yeah. It's written on his top, that he's now, isn't it?
I couldn't stand that man when he joined us. Now he's a hero. So part of me says, the heart says sneak a 2-1. The head says 2-2.
So you've mentioned a little bit about the pride and the passion that will be, you know, showing through with your teams, and your 2-2 was resonating, but I could definitely see in your face there that actually you want to come away with the 3 points. You know, so I think anybody that comes to St Andrews is going to face a challenge. It's going to be an open game, definitely. Teams will come at us. It's to be expected. We play very front-footed, so you know we're on the press at the moment. So there are opportunities, and there always will be. But well, you know, Carl, you're wearing your heart on your sleeve a little bit with the 2-2. What do you honestly think? What do you want to come away with?
Well, yeah, obviously you want to come away with a win just to sort of keep the foot on the gas with the start we've got, and it's anything. Anybody who goes there and wins is a statement victory. You ask your Walsall fans in that trophy last week. I mean, yeah, it's a point with a penalty shootout, but they will be loving that. They won't let you forget that for a while. So,
No, we've had it already.
yeah. So ultimately, you kind of want to go there, big occasion on TV. It's going to be a good advert for League One football, regardless. All the razzmatazz that just adds to it, but I think you have to respect the competition. You have to respect what is going on, what's being built. I think some clubs don't do that for us. They don't really respect what's being built because all they'll see and hear, quite annoyingly, and I can see why it upsets so many people, is because of the headlines it generates for Wrexham. You only have to mutter something. It's like last night, you know, Paul Mullin pulls a Deadpool mask out in a kind of a nothing game, but everybody suddenly knows about it. But that's the way to generate headlines from nothing to keep things ticking over. It's clever marketing, and they're learning from very clever marketeers. So I think it's going to be great. I think Parky will fully respect it. He's done his homework. They all will have done it. And like you say, after all this talk, it'll probably be goalless or something. But as long as they don't get thumped, and if you thump us, then we'd all go away going fair play. they'll probably win it. And that's not being us being arrogant. It's just we haven't. It's been a long time since anybody's really tonked Wrexham because they just don't like it. Nobody likes it. But when you've got that winning mentality, it's hard to shake. It's hard to shake. And it's nice to have a dose of reality. We had that at Sheffield United, in the cup, and that will bite. There'll be a time where we don't win for 6 matches, and the people who've only been coming to the games have seen us win and will not know what to do themselves. That's where we have to education. This is what it used to be like all the time. So yeah, I think it'll be amazing if we get anything from it, and I think any sane Wrexham fan will probably agree with that. My head says, yeah, we're going to go there and do it, but I'm only saying that because for the first time in my entire life, supporting this football club the last few years has made me believe that this team can go to most places and feel like they can get something. If you've got a team who can go and feel like they can get something, then there's a chance that they can. They did that at Coventry, and I said to my dad, I said, we'll win today. And I said, there's just a belief about this team that says they're going to come there. We're still in the National League, but let's make a bit of a name for ourselves beyond the documentary. So it's all baby steps, but that are coming quite fast. So it'd be great to see us win, and I hope we do. But I would not be massively, massively upset if we were to have a point from it.
Birmingham is still gelling. It's simply, we've built a squad across really the summer. We got rid of people that I don't think had the fight and the heart, like you're describing in your team, to actually take Birmingham forwards. And they've kept the people that they could, and Davies set his stall out. He knew which players he wanted, and that's the way it's very much stayed. We've brought in some new faces. We've brought in players that are all fighting for every single position. So it's been such a long time that we've had a position where, it was described earlier on to me actually as being a club that actually has 2 squads that's capable not only of doing well in this league, but actually getting promoted out of it. And that is a first for such a long time. Knighthead set the stall out to put that to us.
I think Wrexham and Birmingham are similar in the sense that they're no longer clubs that are vehicles for stepping stones for ambitious footballers. Where you go, if I get that move to Birmingham and I put myself in the shop window, maybe I can get to the Premier League. And we've been lucky enough that we're not in that position anymore, where we have to sell our best players because we don't have to. Where players who come here don't want to leave because they're on to a really good thing, even if they're the worst footballer in the room.
Well, that's the key.
Well, yeah, but it puts your profile up. Like one of our players, Sam Dalby, striker, he's not really done amazingly well for us, but he's managed to secure a loan move to Dundee United in the Scottish Premiership. Not bad at all, really. And if he can go there and knock 15, 20 goals, then great. Everybody's happy. So I think it gives it like an elevated status about it, and a lot of agents are pushing players our way. But Parky does his homework. He's got this dickhead test, as we kind of call it. And if you are one, you ain't getting in the dressing room. Maybe one have slipped the net, but he's still there and he's knocking in goals. And it's just a great time, honestly. It's a great time. None of us would change it. Some of us would. Some of us who kind of prefer the doldrum days and in front of 3,000 people. But it's like every dog has his day, And I remember when you were in the Premier League and Gary and all these players, think, how has that happened? And I remember when Bradford were there and Duel, and you're thinking, Brighton are the example of which every club should be looking to replicate.
We want to be, you've got to build your way up, get yourself there, stabilise, and once you're stabilised, then push on. There are too many teams that try and run before they can walk, and they come unstuck. It's fair to say that we've been badly owned, badly ran for many, many years. Similar to yourselves, we had people come in that knew nothing about the game. Knightheads, Tom Wagner will, I'll be honest and say, I knew nothing about it. But what he did was he brought in Gary Cook, and Gary Cook had the knowledge and expertise as CEO from the Man City days to when he's gone out to Saudi Arabia. He is a Birmingham fan, so he knew what would make the club tick. And that key thing, and that very first thing was, how do we get the fans back? And, they stuck by the stall. In the first couple of days, they made communications and announcements. They stuck by that. They continued it. We were unlucky last year. But did we deserve to stay in the league? Not in the way we were playing. Hit the reset button. We're going into this. This is the chance and opportunity now to build and go forwards. Come Monday, I think it's got a high scoring draw. I want Birmingham, as every fan would do. You want your team to win. I just think it's got a high scoring draw on it. I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet. I just can't see it. We're too open at the moment, and people will break us down and will see mistakes, take advantage of those. But we've got a phenomenal player in Alfie May that he's got the golden touch. You know what I mean? He's not afraid to have a go, and he's got the knowledge of the league. And we got Jay Stansfield that's going to turn out in the league for the first time. It's just, if I was to be a complete betting man, I'd have money on both of them scoring during the game. It's one of those that's going to be predicted. But like you say, we're in front of the cameras. It's a great game for Sky. We all want it to be that a game that basically goes, actually League One is worth watching. It's not. Oh no, teams they've only got 5-6 days, and they're not bothered about them. No, we want this to be the one where people are watching, and we all know the cameras are going to be on the people that normally are behind there in front of the cameras, and the big boys are going to be out to play. So your owners are going to be there. I know our owners will be there. You never know. We might even see good old Tom Brady turning up as well. So it'd just be phenomenal if we had the whole lot. But I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's got atmosphere is going to be amazing, and it's going to be a great game. So thank you for sparing us the time to go through. It's a great insight to the way your club has been, and I hope and wish you all the very best, as I say to every team, apart from when you're playing Birmingham, and at which point I want you to have the worst games of your season.
I mean, we just dropped lucky after many years of rotten luck, and everybody has their time in the sun. It just depends how long you're there for, I guess.
Indeed, and we all know that, especially in this country, the sun doesn't stay out very long. Thank you. Here's to a great game on Monday. And as with all of these, I'll sign off by saying thank you very much and keep right on.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.